Hello everybody, day 7 is upon us. I'm actually standing at my desk today because I have a standing desk and a treadmill underneath, and for some reason the treadmill not the treadmill, but the standing desk decided it was gonna get stuck in like the middle position. So who knows if this will be an ongoing problem or not. But anyway, today I am talking about Creal. These are what's the name of it? Brilliant Repair Shield. I have 2 of them. The original, which the lettering came off. I hate when that happens. This is the original, and it is the shade Vacation. And then they came out with a second shade, which is called Staycation. The packaging is adorable. Creal knows what she's doing when it comes to packaging. She was, I believe, lead product designer for Victoria's Beckham Beauty. And then she came out with her own brand. And if you've seen any of my videos, I found her on LinkedIn. I saw an article about the brand and I was like, this is just a really interesting brand. It seems really interesting and cool and different than a lot of others. It's targeted to older women. I'm an older woman. So I wanted to try it. I have a full brand review on it, but they have come out with new products since then. So probably time for me to do another one, but they just keep putting out like hit after hit after hit. Their concealer slash foundation, it's very full coverage, but like you could put a little drop on and it would cover in like more light coverage. It's one of my absolute favorites. And then they have a tubing mascara. They have a lot. But anyway, we're not talking about the whole brand. We're just talking about these tinted mineral sunscreens. And I'm going to be applying half of each one to half of my face because I want to show you really the difference in the shades. And we're going to just get into it because I have rambled on for a while now. So let's go. Okay, so when we take a look at the packaging, I think it's really pretty and really just like different than a lot of others. You twist it off and then you have your little squeeze portion. Oh, that just splurted everywhere. It comes out easily, so I don't find the packaging to be kind of an issue, but it doesn't sit. Like you can't put it and have it sit there. It will just fall over. So it's always going to be on the side, which I don't think is a big issue, but I do like to point that out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my 1/4 teaspoon. I'm going to put half of it on one side and half of it on the other. And I just want to show you, but I will caveat that I don't use it this way. This is a topper for me because I find that if I use the full 1/4 teaspoon, it's just too much coverage. So I tend to wear this on top of something else. But I'll show you what it looks like with the full 1/4 teaspoon because that's the way I like to do it. And I'm going to put my hair up, I think. So I did half of a 1/4, so an 1/8, and I'm going to do that on one side. So this is the Creal Brilliant Repair Shield SPF 50 Illuminating Serum Broad Spectrum Sunscreen. It retails for a whopping $64, and it's actually only 1 fluid ounce, which is 30 milliliters. So that is less than your standard amount, which is 1.7 fluid ounces. And it comes in 2 shades, which I've talked about. The deeper shade is called Vacation and the lighter shade is called Staycation. So what this is 100% mineral weightless serum sunscreen that instantly gives your skin a radiant sun-kissed glow with no white cast. It has 12% zinc oxide and it does not contain butyl salicylate, which is great. And on the other side, an 1/8 of a teaspoon of the original Vacation shade. They do say that it has a patented zinc oxide, which I don't know much about, but what it says about it is that it is a secret new breakthrough patented zinc oxide that reinvents sunscreen protection to create an elegant and invisible formula. I don't necessarily know much about that. I would be interested in learning more because I feel like I do not know how you are taking that ingredient and making it revolutionary, but you know, if I learn more about it, I will let you know. It also has bakuchiol, which is supposed to be a bioretinol. Not a big fan of bakuchiol, but definitely not a big fan of it in my sunscreen because I just prefer that in my skincare. It also has rose damascena, flower extract, rice bran extract, and vitamin E, which honestly, those aren't like that revolutionary. It also does have niacinamide, which I know for some people, they just have too much of it in their skincare, so your skin can react poorly to kind of an overdose of niacinamide. Okay, so this is what it looks like with makeup on. I will show you a close-up. It does have a really natural radiance to it, and I'm gonna show you swatches where it's not like there's no glitter particles, but it really does have this added bonus like radiance to it. But it's not too dewy. Like I feel like it definitely sets down a little bit. Well, I wouldn't go so far to say as sets down like makeup, but it doesn't feel like it's slipping and sliding and greasy on my face. And especially with the zinc oxide, which is a drying ingredient, it's going to kind of dry out over the time and the course of the day. I would like to talk about the shades because I think the shades is an interesting point. I originally got the first one, which it wasn't called Vacation at the time, it was just their sunscreen. And this one is definitely like your summertime glowy bronzer shade. And then they came out with Staycation, which is supposed to be a lighter shade. And I feel like Staycation for me is just the perfect, it's like a very light medium shade. But I just understand that like a lot of people with a fair or very like porcelain type skin, it's still gonna be too dark. This is gonna be like a bronzer shade for them. So I do think that it's an improvement having two shades, but I also think that we could definitely have a darker shade and we could definitely have a lighter shade. So maybe like 4, even 5 shades would be a better shade range. We spoke a little bit about the finish of it, and I would say that it's like a natural radiant finish. And I do think that this could work for quite a few different skin types. I think you're gonna love it if you have drier skin. That said, throughout the day, it's not gonna retain that moisture, glowy look. I think it's a good primer base, especially if you are gonna put something glowy, like glowy makeup on over top. And then I do think you will get a little bit more radiance. For oily skin, it's probably gonna be too much, unless you were just fully powdering your face, which, I mean, you could do, but what's the point of that? So I don't think if you have oily skin, this is gonna be your #1 sunscreen, but I think for almost every other skin type, you are gonna get a really nice glowy radiance, and it could work for your skin type. Now, let's talk about the tones, because I like to talk about those with just any other tinted mineral sunscreen, but especially this one with 2 shades. So I do have my swatches, as always, on my arm. Put those on 10-15 minutes ago, and I'm gonna apply them freshly so you can see how much they oxidize right now. Okay, so this is our first shade. This is the shade Vacation, and I'm gonna apply a little bit so you can see. And then we have Staycation. Let me put a little bit more of that on. Okay, so I actually think that the oxidation is not as terrible as some of the others that we've seen. This is after about 15 minutes, these two. And then these two are freshly applied. So they are gonna deepen a little, but the shade is actually remaining pretty similar. And I don't know if you can see it in this, but there's this natural radiance, especially the ones that have dried down. It almost looks like just like a pretty highlighter. Okay, so I hope those swatches helped. I really like the fact that they don't seem to oxidize as much as some of the others. But both shades are quite warm, and I really don't think that they're gonna work on the lightest of skin tones. But overall, for $64, these are pricey, but Sarah Creal as a brand is a luxury brand. Like, this is their concealer, perfector, foundation, whatever. The packaging is glass. It's sturdy, it's beautiful. It just like feels good in your hands. It turns and locks in place. Like, it is well made and kind of, you get what you pay for. It also, this coverage, you could use this for like a year and not run out. So I actually think this is worth it. But just with the sunscreen, you know, you're getting 12% zinc oxide and it is SPF 50, but it's also, you can get something similar for less expensive of a price. So I think what it comes down to, again, when I go over these really expensive sunscreens is, do you want to pay for a luxury brand? Because the product is fabulous. I think it's a really beautiful sunscreen, especially in the warmer months when you maybe have like a little bit more color to your skin. I do think it is a really pretty sunscreen, but I just think $74 for 1 fluid ounce, you know, it's a bit of a splurge. So overall, I think it's a lovely brand. So final thoughts. Now, when I first had the original shade Vacation, I wasn't as big of a fan of it because it was a little too dark even on me. But I think with the shade Staycation, that is a perfect light medium shade for me. So I get a lot of use out of that one. And then if I want to bronze it up, I can put a few drops of the Vacation in because they are the same formula. But also you don't need to spend, what is that, $130 some to buy both to mix them. So, you know, it's kind of up to you and what your skin tone kind of would work with. But I think the Staycation shade might be a better match if you're more similar to a skin tone like me. So I'm gonna wrap it up there. I really like my makeup, and even on my neck, when it looked like the Vacation shade was a lot darker, it kind of like neutraled out. So I'm not too mad. And I was thinking I was gonna have to totally take this off to actually like work today and have people like not see my crazy face with 2 shades. But I don't think it looks crazy at all. And I wore their concealer just because, you know, let's stick with the brand. And I think my makeup looks really, really pretty. This shine's gonna go down a little throughout the day, so I'm not too worried, and I didn't want to powder too much. Overall, I do love this shade Staycation, so that is, you know, my recommendation if you're willing to spend $64. So with all that said, guys, that's 1 week down. We've got 1 more week to go. I will see you tomorrow for day 8. Bye.